right, so welcome Brian Callan from Callan's Pristine Services. Thanks for coming on Brite Cast. So we'll start off with just kind of giving us a rundown of what you guys do and a little bit about your business, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, sure. Callan's Pristine Services is our company. Pretty much what we do and what we strive to really be the best at is just being the best exterior home and property cleaners. Driveway, sidewalk, siding, decks. We also do deck staining, kind of revitalize those, minor repairs, sanding, things like that. So we're kind of your go-to guy for keeping the outside of your house looking pristine.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you've been around for over 10 years?
Yeah. Over 10 years. It's been a good journey. It's hard to believe it was just me, just a kid and a pressure washer.
Yeah.
And we've been able to grow that into something that I can sustain my family and even my employees. They're able to live comfortable lives. So it's been a pretty good journey.
Right. So how many employees do you have right now?
Right now, it's myself, my wife, who does all the scheduling, kind of the customer service type stuff. She's the most important. And then I've got Tommy and Kevin, who have been great blessings to the team to help me out in the field. And then there's the occasional college help that helps out for a few months during the year. That kind of revolves every few years as the guys get a little older. But so we're a small team, but I kind of like it that way. It keeps the kind of, small family vibe.
Right.
I think customers like that too.
Yeah, and then having, people that you can trust that are going to continue the 317 five-star Google reviews, I know that's very important to you.
Yeah, for sure. When someone shows up with our branding on their shirt and the van and stuff, we want to make sure that they're going to represent us good. So, I mean, we've gone through a few people. I've learned, and we know what to look for and stuff. But getting a good group of guys that actually care really has been such a blessing for us.
So, how do you go about finding those people versus others, and how do you set expectations for those potential new hires?
Yeah, that's a good question. It seems like when I look the hardest, I have a more challenging time when I'm really looking, putting out Facebook ads. In the beginning, it was Craigslist. Yeah. I even remember doing a newspaper ad. So it's a little different now. But when I would go that route, I don't know. You can kind of tell within the first hour if someone's going to work out or not. And a lot of times that didn't really seem to work. It was kind of more of friend of a friend, something like that. So, I mean, even the guys that I have now were just, someone who knew my wife or someone who used to work for us recommended them before they left to go, pursue other interests. So referrals have actually been better than just putting out ads and things like that. I'm not exactly sure why that is.
Well, I mean, if they're coming from a trusted source, that's probably part of it. For sure. Because if someone's your friend, they wouldn't recommend someone they know is a bad worker or is, constantly late or doesn't follow through with what they're supposed to.
Yeah, that's very true. I was hesitant, actually, in the beginning to do kind of this route because it can get a little blurry, when you're hiring people, even if it's a friend or a friend. Someone you went to high school with might not want to get told what to do by someone, their own age. But I'm pretty cool to work for.
I think so. I would imagine. Yeah.
I just treat the guys how I would want to be treated, and make sure that when at the end of the day they feel like they've earned enough to make it kind of worth their while. Yeah. And that trickles down. The customers can tell, when they're happy at work and smiling and everybody's good. It just helps everything go smoothly.
Right. So in terms of your, estimating and stuff, is that all Angie? Or are you still involved in that at all?
Yeah, a lot of times me or the guys will go out and look in person. Every house is different, especially when it comes to decks and things that might be in different condition. Yeah. So I'll kind of get my eyes on it, see what needs to be done, kind of work up, I guess, the proposal of what would really need to be done. As far as sending them out and actually getting that information to the customer, Angie's much better at doing that and following up with them. It kind of frees me up to actually be hands-on and do the work.
Right. Yeah. That was probably a big transition having her join. Yeah. So you don't have to take every call and then schedule every appointment, do every estimate. That was probably like a big, maybe scary because she had a job before, right?
Yeah, a little scary. But once we got through the first month or two of kind of, as everything just getting in the rhythm of it, it was really great because we were able to answer every call.
Right.
Just returning a voicemail an hour later, while I'm staining a deck.
They're calling someone else.
They've already gone down the row on Google and called someone else at that point, exactly like you said. So I think it's helped people feel more valued, when someone calls you back immediately, or even if we've already got them as a customer and they need to call and have follow-up questions or something like that. It's pretty good knowing that we're easily reached.
Right. And are you using the missed call text back stuff as well?
Yeah. That has worked out really, really well.
Yeah.
If it's a human, they usually text us back. A lot of times we're getting these sales calls and bots and things.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. But that's any business.
Yeah, for sure. But it even helps kind of weed those out, because when we text back, how can we help you?
Yeah.
It'll kind of just say, undelivered or something like
that.
So then it's like, okay, well, weird area code.
Yeah, just block them, delete them. And, unfortunately, there's not a way that I know of to get rid of that. It's just kind of having to deal with. It just is what it is. That's
I think
doing
you're right.
business these days.
I think you're right.
So we've known each other. I was trying to think, maybe 15 years, something like that.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
12 to 15 before you had started Callan's, I think.
Yes, that's correct.
You were still pressure washing at Mackey's. Rest in peace. Rest in peace.
Yeah.
So it's cool to see your evolution, to see you, we were just, guys at the bar and stuff like that. Now you're married with kids and stuff.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. So how has, having two sons affected, the stresses that you have, work-life balance? I talk about this with each person. Like, is there a work-life balance, or is there more because you have like an off season for a couple months, stuff like that?
Yeah. Good question. There's a lot always going on. It's funny, the younger guys at work, they'll be like, man, I can't get off. I can't wait to get off and hop on the game and play some video games, do whatever. I'm like, oh, man. My second shift starts. I got a 6-year-old and a 2-year-old.
Yeah.
So, but that's cool. I'm trying to just appreciate them while they're young and little. Soon they'll be teenagers and won't want to talk to me. So
they'll be the ones going to play games and ignoring potentially stuff like that. Yeah,
exactly. So it's been good. A lot of times when it does get a little overwhelming, I just kind of know that I'm not just supporting myself anymore.
Yeah.
So I kind of have to just do it. It gets hot out. Sometimes it can be over 100 degrees for weeks, and I am still out in the field a lot, so that's really taxing.
Right.
So just try to think about them and, kind of just use them for motivation. And Angie's really good. We can kind of sense when each one of us might need a little break.
Getting a little burnt out.
Yeah. And she gets mentally fatigued too. When we're in the busy season, the phone's ringing nonstop.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's awesome. But sometimes we need to just say, hey, you need an hour. Go
get some coffee or go take a nap or something.
Yeah. So having a teammate is super helpful. I would definitely not be able to do all this alone.
Right. Especially now with scheduling employees and like doing the estimates and, making sure everyone's in the right place at the right time.
Yeah. I did that by myself for 6 years. The first 6 years of the company was just me kind of doing like the scheduling, staining all the decks, returning all the calls. And man, there were sometimes I didn't think I was really cut out for it, you know? So when she came along and then, really when you started opening up my eyes to, all the things that now your firm can do. Yeah. These little time-saving steps probably give me, an extra, at least an hour by the end of every day. Yeah. So it's been awesome.
That's great. Mm-hmm. And that's an hour you get to spend with your kids or take a nap. If that's ever a possibility, Yeah. So your busy season is really just starts in March all the way through till it gets too cold outside?
Yeah. We'll try to keep it going as long as we can. It really just goes when the trends of when people are thinking about these things. Right. We do some commercial work, apartment complexes, parking garages, things like that. But, primarily, even that shuts down in the winter because we're working with water. Right.
Like today, for example, where it's 15 degrees out. It's not going to work very well.
Everything's frozen. Yeah. So, as soon as people start thinking spring cleaning, that's really when we start picking up. us, the landscapers, the painters, people just are tired of being cooped up in the house, and they want to get their patio ready and things like that.
Yeah. Crawling out of seasonal depression.
Yeah, everybody. Yeah, for sure. So, when people are out there mowing their lawn and stuff like that, they might look at the house and say, oh yeah, we never got that mildew cleaned off.
Right.
That's where we come in.
Yeah. That's good. And so are you outside of Prince William, Loudoun, and Fauquier? Fairfax as well. So that's like your main corridor. Do you ever go outside of that, or you just really kind of want to keep it closer to home?
Yeah, when we get much further than, we'll do Loudoun County, but once we get much further than the Ashburn, Leesburg area, when we're talking an hour just to get to the client's house, it just,
it depends on what the job is. If it's if it's a deck staining that's going to take a few days, maybe it's different.
It might be worth it. And I don't want to say one customer's project is really more valuable than the other, but it comes a time where if we have to drive an hour to get there, and then an hour back, if we kept it local, we could do an entire extra job in that 2-hour time frame.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I feel like when we just kind of keep it local, Prince William, Fairfax, kind of Eastern Loudoun, like you said, it's been about 10 years. So we're known in the neighborhoods there. Right. We're in the Facebook group, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Any further than that, I think we'd just be trying to do too much, and our quality might kind of go down a little bit, or we'd really only be able to take 2 to 3 jobs a day versus maybe 4 to 5, depending on the
that's a big difference for sure.
Yeah.
And in paying your guys and stuff too, like, do you pay per job or do you pay salary, or?
They get hourly with travel time included. So that's another thing. Pay them to, sit in the van in traffic for an hour.
Yeah, so if they got to go 10 minutes, it's definitely different.
Yeah. So we kind of just schedule around kind of regions. There might be a Loudoun day, a Fairfax day, so maybe it'll take us 30 minutes to get out there, but then every job from there might be within 10 minutes in a neighborhood or something like that.
Yeah, that's good.
So
you guys you moved to Nokesville. How have you liked being in Nokesville as opposed to...
Love it.
As opposed to the Lake Jackson area you were before?
Yeah, Lake Jackson, Manassas. That'll always kind of be home, but I'm only about 15 minutes. So I still kind of feel like I'm in that same community, but I really like Nokesville. My son loves his school. We got a little bit more privacy, a little less traffic. And we kind of already had a built-in client base before moving here.
Oh, yeah.
So now I think with what you've done with our advertising, kind of trying to target home base a little bit more, that's worked out. People are seeing our vans. We see customers sometimes at Sheetz in the morning, hey, how are you?
That's great.
Stuff like that. So that's been really good. And with that, we've gotten involved in the school a little bit. My son just started first grade. So
nice.
Yeah, we've made a donation to the school to help out with the PTO and stuff like that. And my wife and I will donate our time to come help out with, there was a dance the other day and some activities in the school. So that's been
chaperoning
nice
the dance?
Yes. Well, Angie did. I did not. She's a little bit better at those sort of things, but I did help out with a little kind of indoor field day, which was kind of cool.
Oh, that's cool.
So, yeah.
It's fun to be able to do and have some flexibility during, you're like a reverse teacher in terms of time off. So you get the winter off to really kind of reconnect with your kids and, do more stuff, where the summer you're probably super busy.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We have a lot of time to, work on our homework, learning how to read, stuff like that. So that's all cool. And then, on those busy days, by the time I get home, usually homework's done. So we'll just try to run around and play.
Oh, you get the fun job.
Yeah. I'm kind of winded already from work at that point. But if they want to play outside instead of being glued to the screen or the Switch or something like that, it's January now at the time we're recording this, and I cannot wait for July when we have that daylight till 8:30, 9 o'clock.
8:39, yeah.
So that's what I'm missing. That's when we like running around and playing out there.
Yeah, that's great.
So good thing about Nokesville, big yards.
Right.
So, we just run, tucker them out, get that exercise in.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's what I had as a kid. When I was annoying my mom, she would be like, just go run laps around the house until you're tired.
Yep. I use that line too.
Yeah. And it worked. Especially around 6 years old, 7 years old. That's what she would tell me to do. And she'd be like, I would be like, I don't want to do it. And she'd be like, I'll time you. And be like, okay, I'm going. And I would just sprint out the house. Some reason being timed. I wanted to beat my last time that I had.
Yeah. We know about all those little tricks. Yeah, that's cool.
So, to add some information to this, I thought it'd be interesting to talk about pressure washing versus soft washing, why that's more important than other stuff. Because I'm not sure people really know. They just say they see their vinyl is dirty on their house or their aluminum siding, and they're like, they don't know necessarily what to search for.
Yeah, that's a good question. It's kind of confusing because a lot of times we can use a pressure washer to soft wash.
Right.
And I remember when we first started, so like the early 2010s, I remember pulling up to people's houses and just spraying soap on there from the ground, low pressure. And people really not knowing what the heck I'm doing. You're not going to get it clean. How are you going to reach the top? You don't have a ladder.
Right.
And it really is the best way to get it clean. I mean, essentially, we're applying a disinfectant solution that's actually going to kill the mildew, spider webs and stuff like that. It just loosens it up to where you can just rinse it off. I mean, not much more pressure than a garden hose. So it's really gentle, soft washing. Not going to bust your windows or crack any siding, anything like that. And it's fully disinfected and sanitized when we're done. The old-fashioned way, which would just be kind of pressure washing or power washing.
Like what you would do for cement or something that's really got algae on it?
Yeah, essentially a hard surface, can get power washed. A soft surface, you'd want to do a soft wash, like siding or your roof shingles, something like that. We can pressure wash a deck, concrete, things like that. Now, the old-fashioned way, I mean, I'm sure we've all seen guys on ladders or have this idea of pressure washing a house, a guy on a tall ladder at the very top, just washing every little bit by hand. I mean, it's super dangerous.
Right.
You really can't see what you're doing until you get down and you look and you see that you've made stripes all over the house because it's not even.
Right.
That's like the 80s, the 90s, Nowadays, even our competitors, everyone's doing this method. It's safer. It gets the area
safer
cleaner.
Because you can be on the roof?
It's safer for us. We don't really need to use tall ladders and stuff. If we have enough flow in the machine, we can just spray the solution.
Oh, from the ground?
Yeah, 9 times out of 10, unless it's too windy. Sometimes we do need to use ladders and attachments and things, but it's safer for the technician. It's safer for the surface that we're cleaning. We can pretty much guarantee we're not going to hurt or damage anything with a soft wash. It's basically the pressure of, your garden hose that you'd wash your car with. It just has, like I said, a disinfectant solution
that breaks it up
in there. Yeah,
that's important. Have you had any close calls on roofs or anything?
A close call, just this past year. It wasn't me.
Yeah.
But we had a little slip. Luckily, it was kind of nothing major. It was just one of those okay, we need to not get too comfortable. We do this all the time, but let's take a second to remember here and put the right boots on and stuff like that. That was enough for us to say, okay, let's slow down and take our time.
I mean, I'm scared of heights, so I can never do that job. I'd be the guy spraying from the ground if I worked for you.
That's usually my job.
Yeah.
I got another guy, who's been with us about 5-6 years now. He's much more comfortable with that sort of thing, and I trust him. So he's got that down. He feels a little more comfortable.
Yeah, and some people just don't. It doesn't bother them for whatever reason.
That's him, yeah.
I just, being only 5'8", it's like, I'm used to being on the ground.
Yeah, I hear you.
I'm used to that. So, what are some challenges that you've faced? Obviously you've been in business 10 years, but if you can think of a couple things challenges that you've overcome or things that you wish you would have known before.
Yeah, I'd say mostly we really want our customers to be happy. That's it. Everything falls in line after that. Money, you know what I mean? Everybody's going to be financially happy, and we're going to stay busy if we just keep the customer happy. They'll tell their friends, you know what I mean? So just that caused me a lot of anxiety because you never know who's going to call. You never know whose house you're going to show up at. Right when I started the company, Yelp had just come out.
Oh, really?
Right around there, within a year or two.
Yeah.
So my whole thing was get good Yelp reviews.
Right.
And
at the time, that was the
thing.
Yeah.
And it still kind of is that way. Yelp's still out there. Google, I think we focus on Google a little bit more.
Right.
And we've gotten bad reviews. We really have received bad reviews. Some folks will say, "How do you have none?" But, usually a phone call and coming back and saying, hey, I'm sorry this happened. It was always just a misunderstanding. I can kind of get him to take it down by just kind of doing a little extra for him and stuff like that. But that kind of would be my biggest challenge is just keeping everybody happy. It wouldn't be uncommon in the old days to get a call back from a job that we did, later that evening, I'm about to eat dinner, and then the phone pops up and it's like, hey, you missed a spot. And, stuff like that would just stress me out and drive me so crazy. So I think being able to kind of, take on enough work throughout the day where we're not rushing through jobs, maybe we just do 3 a day so we can give each customer that pristine treatment, make sure everyone's happy, doing walkthroughs at the end of the job beforehand, communicating with people. I'd say really the biggest challenge is just in our industry, we have 3 to 5, projects a day per van. Keeping that amount of people happy is pretty tough, managing everybody's expectations.
That's a big thing. And how do you do that exactly? Because I think that's a kind of a common theme that I've asked the people that I've had on so far. How do you manage customer expectations in general? I
think the in-person estimate, if we can walk around and have a conversation about what the client wants done before we even start, that's really helpful. Or at least a phone conversation. Email's good, but, for specialized projects or projects that might not be, your cookie cutter house, like we'll want to, go through everything. That way we can kind of cross that bridge before we even get to it. But in general, our website has a blog about everything. So if they say on the website form, this in particular is bothering me. Say, well, that's a little tricky, but here's something I wrote about this. Send them the link. And we say, we can get it better, but it might not be 100%. Is that still okay? Things like that. So it's really nice to have references to be able to send people. I think a lot of younger homeowners now, like about our age-ish, are all pretty busy too and don't have a problem just looking something up on their phone and skimming it. I think when we first started, it was a lot more talking on the phone, but I don't know if life's gotten busier or what, but just having a quick link to send someone that can check out, while they're on the train I think
it might be talking on the phone. I mean, I'm comfortable with it because I have to for my business, but before I started it, I didn't really want to talk on the phone with anyone. I'd text me, and I think that's kind of where most people are. Like they don't want to, and that's kind of good for you. It's probably saving you a fair amount of time too, just to be able to send the link like, hey, the information's here that you asked about, if you want to talk on the phone, you're happy to, but you don't need to.
So I think managing the expectations has been really, really easy because even if someone says, hey, Brian, we just got home, we looked at the house and overall it looks good, but there's this, tiger striping on the gutters. There's these black lines. I don't know what it's from exactly, but they can't be pressure washed off. They have to be scrubbed. And almost every house has them. And it's extra, it's pretty significantly because it takes like a good 2 to 3 hours. You have to hand scrub them. So folks will say, what's up with these lines on the gutters? And, I don't want them to think I'm just making up an excuse. Well, that's just lines. They got to be scrubbed. It's going to cost more. Actually, this is, called tiger striping. It's called by blah, blah, blah. Send them the link. We can certainly take care of that for you. I didn't realize that was one of your concerns. We can get back out there tomorrow, take care of it. And then they can look at it and see. And
is that something you can handle in the estimate process anytime you see it, or your guys, if they're doing estimates? Like, just so you know, that's probably not going to come off in the soft wash process. So we do charge X for.
That's on the contact us form on the website. Actually, one of the things you can click, and then it's on the estimate itself because it's just such a common thing. But I just mention that just as an example. Like I said, every house is different. They might have old oxidized siding where the finish is faded off for being out in the sun for 20 years. And managing the expectations again. So it's good to just
only clean it up so much. If it's old siding, you might need to get siding first.
And if we end up playing phone tag later in the evening, hey, it's not an excuse. I'll give you a call tomorrow. But in the meantime, check out this article I wrote about the phenomenon you're seeing on your house. And, I just kind of feel like it's a little better than just saying, oh, well, here, this is such a common issue. I wrote something on it.
Right.
And it's not just an excuse.
Right. And that helps you by having already written it. You can just send them a link and it's done instead of being like, well, it started back in 1872. And,
Yeah, right. Because before I had Angie, that would be kind of my thing. Hey, let me just send you a thing. I don't want to have to type out the same redundant paragraph. Now she can kind of explain it a little if need be, or like I said, if folks are busy, send over some stuff like that. But going over the expectations during the estimate. If the guys have any issue while they're there, they'll call and say, hey, they want me to clean this patio, but it's breaking up, it's cracking, it's a little damaged. What should I do? We'll talk to the homeowner right then. Hey, we might make this worse. It's, blah, blah, blah. Do you want us to do this? It's ultimately it's their house. We're kind of tailoring the service to their needs.
Right. And I think that honesty being like, hey, this might not be the best solution for you. That's good to hear. At that point, I don't feel like I'm getting sold anymore. I feel like I would, all right, I'm going to pay these people because they're being honest with me.
Yeah, people do tend to really like that. Yeah. I mean, I've passed up hundreds of extra dollars, but just being honest. What's the point of nickel and diming these people when if they feel like they got a good value, they'll call us again in a few years and they'll probably tell a neighbor or two. Yeah. And really honesty is the best policy and just trying to do a good job. Like I mentioned earlier, if the customer's happy, everything just kind of falls into place.
Yeah, exactly. And when it's such like a neighborhood thing too, and they see that it's done by someone else gets a really good, cleaning done and you're out there, they're probably going to ask who did it. If they're friends with their neighbors, that is, of course.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And that's always tricky, too. It's funny. I get a little glimpse into a lot of these folks' lives. So I'm in Nokesville. I've got the bigger yard and not the neighborhood set up, but I get a little glimpse of the neighborhood dramas and little gossips with people, which is it kind of keeps it interesting sometimes.
And then you end up at that other person's house and you're like, you should have heard what they were saying about you.
Yeah.
So we talked about, the having kids and stuff, but how, is it easy to work with your wife? Is it difficult? Was it difficult in the beginning? I mean, it seems like you guys are a good pairing now for sure. You kind of got your roles figured out and everything, but was it difficult in the beginning?
Yeah. It's
sorry, Angie.
I'm happy that it appears from the outside like we've got it all together. That's the image I'm going for.
That's perfect.
It's good. I'd say the only downfall is when you get together with work buddies, you talk about work stuff.
Right.
And then you might invite maybe an outside friend who's like a personal friend. Hey, me and the work guys are getting together. You all are talking about work. He's just standing there, doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah.
So we talk about work. So it's like we work all day, come home, spend an hour with the boys, whatever, as we're cooking dinner. So how was your day? Oh, Mrs. So-and-so. And it's like, oh, man, I just got done thinking about all this stuff. So I'd say the only downfall is that it feels like we're always working. And when we're in the busy season, kind of our life revolves around it.
Right.
That's when we have to take a break. And
Make sure to do a date night or something if you can.
Yeah, Grandma, can you watch the boys? We got to get out and do something other than talking about washing decks.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, it's important to prioritize that too, but because you have, when you're busy, I'm sure you're super busy, so it's probably, you have to schedule it on the calendar in order to make sure it happens. Otherwise, you're just going to stay busy.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. And that's a blessing. I mean, like I said, we're recording this in January. Not a whole lot going on. So it kind of balances out pretty good.
Yeah.
But one of the positives for sure is that Angie cares as much as I do.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
I don't know if I would trust the team we have now, Angie, Tommy, and Kevin. I want this team forever.
Yeah.
Because everybody cares. If I were to replace her with someone I was just, paying, I feel like little things would slip through the cracks and stuff like that.
It'd have to be someone you already trusted, potentially.
Yeah.
If she ever wanted to get out of that role.
Right. But no, for right now, things are great. She even comes and helps out, if a guy calls in sick, something like that. things happen. She's come and helped me stain a few decks before.
What do you do with Connor at that point?
He goes to an in-home daycare.
Oh, okay.
This really, really nice lady in Bristow, she actually helped out with Carson, our oldest. So she's like family now.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, he's home with us now throughout the winter, but during the busy season, we kind of both need to be really focused. I'd say March through July.
Okay.
Yeah.
We talked about most of. Oh, I want to talk about. So you've been using Brite Leads for going on 2 years, maybe year and a half.
Yeah, I think it's been 2 years because the season was about to start, and we're about a month out from March now.
So almost 2 years. So how do you think that sort of impacted your efficiency? Maybe is the right question.
Man, I mean, like I said, we've probably saved at least an hour at the end of every day. I remember when I first reached out to you when you were getting this started, I just wanted the customer input from the website to go straight into QuickBooks.
Right.
That's all I want. I said, this can save me so much time. And you said, hey, we can do that easily. Plus,
right.
And then, you know, all the little text messages and things like that, reminders, payment reminders is all automated. I can't imagine going back and doing it the old-fashioned way now.
Right. Yeah, I have, several clients. It's the same thing. Like, it provides an opportunity to scale communication. You might need 3 Angies, or she's just going to be pulling her hair out, and not have enough time in the day to get the volume when you're in the real busy season.
Yeah. The way we were doing it was fine. Like, fine.
Right.
It's a little more legitimate. Like, I've always wanted, like, even from the very beginning, I just said, it might just be me, just a guy with a pressure washer, but I want, our logo, website, branding. Yeah. I want to show up at people's houses and have them not know and think that we have 10 trucks on the road and look really professional.
Yeah.
And this just kind of solidifies that.
Right.
We might, in the busy season, schedule 2, 3, sometimes 4 weeks out if we have weather delays. People forget when their appointment is. We used to just show up and say, oh, it's the 18th at 9 a.m. Like, why is your deck full of furniture? And, there's nowhere for us to park. Like, oh, we scheduled that so long ago. So even just the reminder text that you guys send out for us, that's been amazing.
Right.
And even with that, the little link on there with the kind of review prior to the appointment, I mean, there's no miscommunications. I mean, miscommunications now are like very, very rare.
That's great.
Because everything's able to be, laid out right there. You got an email, you got a text, you know exactly what to expect, you know who's coming. So it's just been awesome.
Yeah, that's great.
We're getting paid quicker. Because a lot of times, I don't know what it is. I think it's folks that don't have Gmail or I don't know. Our invoices and estimates can end up in the spam folder with certain email providers. Now, this way, they'll at least get a text. Hey, your invoice has been sent, and now they know to look for it.
Right.
So that's been really cool.
Yeah, that's good.
Because we never ask for any payment up front. We never ask for any money until the project is complete and the homeowner is 100% satisfied and happy.
Yeah. Have you ever had issues with that where people don't pay?
There's been a couple where we had to really annoy them for a while.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel bad about it, but it's like, we've been done for a while, and I kind of just text them in the evening, hey, how's everything looking?
Yeah.
That way, if we missed something and that's why you're not paying, well, let me know. I'll fix it. But it always works out. Again, just doing mostly residential work. Everyone's got their own lives and
they're busy.
Someone might have a rough week and forget, but
waiting for the paycheck to come in to pay it off or something, maybe.
Yeah. Not too much, in our demographic here. I mean, we're in Nova. I'd like to think people can pay for a $200 to $300 service. Right. But everybody's situation is a little bit different. Right. But this communication has really, really helped out.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
So for the reviews, do you use that review management stuff or no? Or do you just prefer to do it in person? Ask the person.
Well, you designed some cards for me.
Yeah.
Those have been awesome.
Yeah. Well, in the system, we can do automated stuff too when a job's completed to send out the request as well.
I don't know that we're doing that.
Yeah.
Okay.
When we first set you up with it, you were a little hesitant because you loved the 5-star review part of it.
Yeah.
But you could always just not send it to those people.
Oh, right? I got you.
But you could send to make sure that everyone that the job is completed, when she moves it to that pipeline stage, then they could get the review request.
Let's talk about that. Yeah. Because the cards that you designed for me are really, really good.
Yeah. Well, I think having multiple touch points to remind people is not bad.
I know right now on the invoice, and I think on the final invoice has been sent text, I think we might have a link or something like that.
I'll double check
that's
with
something
her.
we should talk about.
Yeah. I'll double check with her to make sure that that's working. And so you use our SEO stuff too. How do you think that is, not to toot on horn or anything, but
I think it's been great because in those first few years when I was really trying to just do everything myself, like we would show up on the internet kind of, sort of here and there. But I'd always be wondering, like, why do these companies that are younger than us with less reviews show up higher and look more legitimate?
Right.
And then, we got to chatting and come to find out there's so many things that go deep into a website and online presence that just me as just, a house washer, that's not my area of expertise.
Right. We all have our own.
Yeah, for sure. But, I knew that I needed someone like you. And a lot of times I'll just play around, put my phone on incognito mode and just search for power washing.
Yeah, like you did that in Gainesville
things
recently.
Like that. Exactly. And we show up. The landing pages that Morebrite made for us, the Google 3-pack, stuff like that. So we're pretty much on the first page of Google.
That's awesome.
No matter where I go within our 3-county radius.
Right, and that's hard to get to.
That's what I wanted, and
that's what you get.
You gave it to me.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Because I would do everything, make posts all the time, Facebook ads, kind of just things that a guy who's playing around with it would do. But this really, I think, set us up there to compete with people who are really dumping, a lot of budget into there. And I don't even think we need to spend quite as much because with our reviews and, just the work that we do to like my own
I mean,
horn,
if you were starting now, it's maybe a much tougher uphill battle because there is so much competition. But you started 10 years ago when there was, especially the Google presence now is like so important, like the business profile. If you're starting today, it's going to be an uphill battle. Yeah. To compete against someone that has 300 reviews. It takes a long time to get that many reviews. Yeah.
And I mean, even a lot of our competitors are getting up there in reviews too. So I kind of have to, I can never get too comfortable.
Right.
There's a lot of companies out there that do good work. They do essentially what we do, but I feel like where we can set ourselves apart is just having them feel valued. And when we do that walkthrough at the end and folks say things like, man, this is my house. Wow. Like, HOA is not going to have anything to say anymore. Or
you got to get those responses on video. Those are the posts to make.
There was a guy even recently. I said, "Oh man, that was like the perfect thing you could have said." Yeah. I was feeling a little rough that day, and I told him, I needed that, for the last customer of the day, I needed that. So, it's awesome. I think all those things kind of together, I think are why people like calling us. And, I mean, everything's expensive these days. If you're going to spend, $200 to $300 isn't a crazy amount of money, but I mean, every little bit adds up. And we know that just because we're in Northern Virginia and just kind of a recession-proof bubble around us. Folks are still feeling it. So a lot of our prices haven't really gone up much in the past, 2 years or so. Whereas I feel like everyone else is kind of just using inflation as an excuse to really inflate.
Yeah. Well, hopefully that goes down a little bit over the next, little bit of time. So things can kind of balance themselves out. But, I think it's awesome to have seen your growth over the past 10 years, going from kind of being bar buddies to now married with kids and a successful business and everything. It's really cool to see.
Yeah, likewise.
And to be able, trusting me, you were one of my first clients, and I was like, learned a ton by having you choose us, and I used you guys as references to get newer clients and stuff too. So it's like, thank you for continuing to trust me to do stuff. Yeah. So what do you think is like your future aspirations for the business? How big do you want to get? Do you want to stay small? Do you want to cut out certain services, focus on other ones more?
Yeah, so we've actually kind of done that. The company was called Pristine Services because I was doing carpet cleaning as well. I was trying to do that to float us through the winter. But it kind of seemed like by the time the holidays rolled around, people had already gotten their cleaning done and everything, and everybody was more focused on holiday shopping, and everything just dries up in January, February, I think. So we kind of dropped the carpet cleaning. And then as far as we're, scaling the business, I've tried to get bigger. I mean, at one point we had 5 trucks on the road. I had a decent team, 6, 7 guys. But, I think the quality of work didn't really suffer, but I kind of felt like it easily could have. You start getting someone who, always has an issue. They've got a stomach ache. Can't come in. And now I'm trying to scramble to fill this schedule and things like that. So I actually kind of think that the kind of humble size that we're at, maybe having 3 to 4 trucks on the road, having enough work for everybody to be compensated fairly, but also have the customer feel like they're getting like not a rush job,
right?
Where we can take our time, let everybody feel like kind of like they're our first customer ever. We're really trying to win you over.
And it's hard to train a new person to have that mentality when they're with a new customer.
Yeah, exactly. And even, I mentioned Tommy earlier. He's been with us 5-6 years now. He's kind of that one. I heard him telling a customer, like, people love us because we treat every customer as if it's our first. Like, we're really trying to earn your business. And I was like, man.
So he's caught on to the culture.
I didn't even tell you. I didn't even tell you to say that. Like, that's amazing. So like he's the man. And I feel like just having a small, good, reliable team, knowing, hey, if we say we're going to be at your house at 9 a.m. on Tuesday, someone's going to be at your house at 9 a.m. on Tuesday. That just helps me sleep better at night.
Yeah, absolutely.
No surprises. And even really just new tires on the truck. I mean, it costs a lot to have 5 vehicles running. So I kind of think we really just want to keep just the consistency, doing what we're doing.
Yeah.
As far as adding services, we recently added our roof cleaning services about 4 years ago.
And you have a package with the house washing and the roof cleaning?
Yeah. We would keep saying, man, we clean the house, the gutters, everything, but that roof has those ugly streaks. So we actually took a online certification course.
Okay.
And kind of got the gist of that.
Is it the same solvent that you use on the siding, or is it different?
Yeah, it's just at a different ratio. Basically, when we apply it to a house for cleaning siding, it'd be maybe 5 to 10% active solution. The rest is just water.
Right.
So it's pretty mild. We dial that up to maybe 40 to 50%. So it's essentially kind of half and half water, half the active ingredient.
Yeah. Because if there's moss and algae, it's tougher to get off.
You really got to zap it.
Yeah.
With, it's sodium hypochlorite based, which is essentially pool chlorine. We just need to be careful to dilute that to the right ratio.
Right.
As you can imagine, it can hurt plants, grass, things like that. So that's where the certification came in. Okay. We have some stuff we spray on.
So you're eco-friendly?
Yep. We've got some stuff we spray on the surrounding area to immediately neutralize any kind of runoff or any overspray that may have gotten on any grass, shrubs, plants, anything like that. And that really, really gets those roofs looking really, really good. I mean, the black streaks are gone instantly. Heavy moss and stuff like that, it kills it, and those just kind of start to lose their grip on the shingle. Yeah. Just blow off in the wind within, the next few weeks. That's been cool. It's been a great addition to our house washing service.
It makes sense.
The package. Definitely. Yeah. And really, I think we're going to just try to continue to just be the best exterior cleaning and deck staining type of company that we can be. If we grow, that would be great. Yeah. I can't see us getting any smaller, but I really feel like I always want to be involved. I always want to be hands-on.
It's your baby.
Yeah.
It's your baby.
And I like being outside.
So how did you get into it? What was you just worked for somebody else and you're like, I can do this.
Yeah. I worked there for a long time, and it was great. You know, I had just had this string of grocery store jobs for forever, and then I got my first kind of manual.
What grocery stores?
Weiss Market.
Oh yeah.
Food Lion, Safeway. Giant twice.
Oh, you went through all of them.
Yeah,
that
was my thing. That was my thing. If it wasn't for pressure washing, I'd probably be the manager of the meat department in Food Lion.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
That's a very different. I worked at the meat department in Kroger when I went to JMU. I was like a deli slicer guy.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I did the deli at Safeway. Yeah, there we go.
I mean, you got to start somewhere.
Exactly.
So you moved from that and you started doing pressure washing just during the summer
friend
for somebody?
Friend of a friend, hey, man, this guy's got a power washing job. He's got a car. We're like 20, he's got an apartment and a car. I'm like, whoa, I want that.
Yeah.
So kind of just started looking for jobs in that realm, found one, and I stayed there for about 8 years.
Oh, wow.
And I just kind of outgrew it. You can only make so much working for someone else.
Right.
And I kind of felt like I took on a lot of extra responsibility anyway to keep the customers happy.
Right.
When it was kind of like no one else
really
cared. It's like she's upset.
Yeah.
Like someone's got to handle it.
Right.
And we'd get paid by the job. So I wouldn't get paid until the customer paid. So I'm always wanting the people to be really happy, quickly.
Yeah.
I'm like 20, I'm broke. I'm like, I need this. And then I kind of I think, figured out how to resolve problems. And a lot of times it wasn't even a problem. It was just they felt like they weren't getting the attention they needed. They would call, no one would answer. They'd have an issue, say someone would come out to look at it, no one would come out to look at it. Things like that.
Yeah.
They were all right, but just stuff like that would be pretty common. And I just started thinking, man, I'm solving all these problems anyway.
And he's making all the money.
Exactly.
Was the owner in the field at the time, or was it he just had a bunch of
kind of sort of? When I first started, he was, and then I get the impression he was kind of just wanting to get onto other things, and it may have been one of many businesses that he owned or something like that.
Yeah.
But I left on good terms. He did a lot for me.
You learned the business.
Yeah,
for one, how to deal with customers and stuff like that, and
I was
good
there,
ones and bad ones.
Yeah. I mean, for 8 years there, I think I pretty much learned enough where I said, all right, if I can just save a little bit of money to make it through this winter, we can kind of start. And we just started with Groupon, Living Social. I mean, think about 10 years ago.
Yeah, right.
Living Social and Groupon.
Is that even around anymore? Living Social?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so.
And we weren't making any money off those jobs, but it would be, I'd go there.
But you might got reviews.
Exactly. That's what I did. I would, if I could get them for, after Living Social would take their cut, I'd make about $40 to wash a whole house. I'm like, But, you want a quote on the deck. Oh, okay. Well, there's no Living Social deal for that, but I'm here.
Yeah. And I just did a great job, which you can tell.
Exactly. The neighbors, things like that. So it really wasn't making much, but I really did do a lot to try to just get our name out there.
Yeah.
I mean, long days making like $100 by the end of the day. Right. Just knowing, people saw our truck out there. You know what I mean? If I'm driving around in traffic with...
And that's what happens when you're an entrepreneur. You gotta start from square one sometimes.
Oh yeah, this was like this was like negative. I mean, my truck was a beater. It was really, really tough. So it's interesting to be thinking about that because now, I mean, some folks, especially some new guys and stuff, might think like I'm comfortable. I'm comfortable. I still have struggles like everyone else, but I think I've always been that way. I'm like, no, not long ago, man. Like I had really nothing going on.
Yeah.
So
that's cool to come from nothing and to take that leap. So how many was it? Just like one big summer season? You're like, okay, I think I can do this.
Yeah,
for real, and not have to do something else.
At the end of the year, with the year being essentially 9 months or so, with it being so seasonal. At the end of that 9-month period, it's about November, late November, early December. We're getting freezing temperatures consistently. I said, all right, let's see what we made this year. And it was over double what I made the year previously. At that moment,
gross or
so like kind of my gross take home at my I was 1099 through my old company. That number was whatever.
Yeah.
I figured out kind of the new kind of gross total
right
without them. And it was so much more. I mean, looking back on it, it still wouldn't be a living wage today in 2025.
Yeah. Well, what is this?
But you know, I'm in my 20s, and I was just like, wow, okay, I can do this.
Yeah.
This was before thinking about kids or anything. I'm like, okay,
right.
I can pay my rent, fix the truck if something goes wrong. Like, I'm good. You know. But then naturally, you grow up a little bit.
Right. Exactly. So did you meet Angie when she was bartending?
Yes.
Yeah, at Sports Pub?
Yeah.
Oh.
How often does that work out successfully?
I met Jesse at City Tavern.
Okay.
The old City Tavern, you know, but when it was in Old Town Manassas.
Loved Old City Tavern.
Oh, yeah, just
man,
raunchy dance floor and everything. But that was fun back then when being single, it was awesome.
Oh, yeah, it was great. It was great. A lot of bad decisions.
Yeah.
A lot of waking up feeling really bad the next day.
What happened? What exactly?
Yeah.
I met her and I showed her my band business card that I had made,
nice.
and she like shit on the design and was like, I don't think this is very good.
You probably designed it, right?
I did, of course. But you know, I wasn't as good. But you know, that was like, all right, I gotta get this girl on my side.
Nice.
You know, she was dating someone, and I was kind of off and on with someone at the time, and then like years later, we rekindled at in Clarendon. Actually, we just bumped into each other after I cut my long hair.
Oh, that was it.
Yeah, and then she was like, "Oh, this guy."
That was it. Yeah. I bet you redesigned that logo after that night.
Oh yeah, totally, totally. We got some of the CDs and stuff.
Yeah.
Still, you know. Do you play music at all anymore?
I have the electronic kit up at the house. Every now and again, I'll mess around on it, but I annoy everybody.
Yeah.
You know, I get a lot of, Dad, stop. Like,
is it loud?
All right, whatever.
You just put your...
I mean, yeah, but you're still hearing
yeah.
sticks hitting stuff. And it's like, all right.
You don't have like a dedicated space to do it?
I don't feel like I have a dedicated space to do anything. Maybe a couple of years when the boys get a little older, maybe. No, it's great. I mess around with it from time to time, but my music... It's mostly just tapping on the steering wheel and air drumming in traffic.
Still keeping it together?
Yeah.
A little bit.
And the Fitbit actually counts air drumming as steps.
Really?
So, you know,
okay.
Cheat code for a summer body.
Is there any like new music that you listen to, or you just listen to the classic, like?
It's the same 2000s, you know, late 90s.
Do you like the new Blink stuff?
I do. Yeah. I do. I mean, for
guys, kind of on par with
for guys in their 50s, like it sounds like Blink. It's not like they went like soft rock, Goo Goo Dolls or anything. They kind of kept. I mean, I actually kind of have been learning to appreciate them recently.
Goo Goo Dolls,
yeah. Okay. But they went from like the rock to like straight like mom rock,
right?
You know, with like the teased hair
who's
and
paying
stuff.
for the money? I mean, who's paying for the CDs or whatever? If they're still buying albums or whatever, right? Yeah. You know, who's paying for it?
Yeah, Blink.
That's who's coming to the shows. You know,
exactly.
40-year-old, 45-year-old women.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking, it's going to be soft. They're old now, but they're pretty much still singing to. I mean, I don't want to say adolescents because these are like 39, 40-year-old adolescents. Like, I don't even know where I fit in anymore. It's like music made for kids, but all the kids are in the 40s.
Yeah.
But they encompass it pretty well. So I'm still a fan. Yeah.
I went to see Under Oath. They were doing their Only Chasing Safety album, like the 20-year reunion.
Yeah, nice.
I was screaming like a little kid and just kind of really getting into it. Super nostalgic. So, but who would have thought that those kind of bands are still doing well and, you know, putting out good music still? Like, they were, those genres didn't exist before, you know, they came out. I mean, there was punk, but there was nothing like Blink-182 style of punk,
that early 2000s mall, like Hot Topic stuff, like really became like big, and it's still, I don't know, you know, my mom
kind of coming back again with TikTok and everything.
It is, and it's funny because my mom said that years and years ago, like every 20 years, I remember, like 5th, 6th grade girls started wearing the flared pants.
Yeah.
And then she's like, oh yeah, like the 70s, you know, we used to, you know, everything kind of cycles every 15, 20 years. It comes back like retro with a modern twist, and it kind of seems like we're in that now, like 2000 stuff is like the new 80s night, like we would think of when we were in high school.
Yeah, I mean, like Bieber's wearing Jinkos. He was wearing way oversized stuff with essentially what they're Jinkos, like the huge flare leg pants.
Yeah. And, you know, we're kind of off because, like, we used to wear all that stuff, too, when we were, like young. But then, like, 15, 20 years, everything got kind of slimmer.
Yeah.
And now I feel like we're stuck in that.
I know.
But now the baggy stuff is coming back. It's like, I was wearing that before you. But
right.
I'm so stuck in like the nicely fitted stuff. Right? I can't, I feel like I would be in like a fifth grader if I put on baggy clothes again.
Yeah. Well, it would.
So now we're just boomers now, I guess.
Yeah. Well, it's the new dad jeans. Instead of Wranglers, that's what dads wore in the 70s that kind of got in. And then, skinny jeans are just going to be dad jeans, essentially.
There we go.
But I'd rather wear that than I mean, I went through a Jinkos stage when I was 14.
Everybody
trying to skate,
Yeah.
Did you skateboard at all?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Were you ever good?
I was good enough to wear the brands and not be a poser.
Yeah.
And we'll kind of like leave it at that.
Yeah. Like I Love Cops and stuff like that. I had that shirt, I remember. I could ollie okay, and I could do some kick flips occasionally. Yeah,
on a good day.
Yeah, without killing myself.
Yeah. I went skating in Old Town. We had like kind of like a family day, got a little brunch, had a couple, it was the daytime, whatever. Don't judge me. But enough to where like I kind of like wasn't scared. Like maybe like 2-3 drinks. And we're out and about.
Just recently?
This was like right before it started getting cold, October, September. And so we're just kind of like doing a day, walking around. Got my skateboard in the car. See this guy, I don't know, he's younger than me, but he's like just ripping around, doing all this cool stuff. And then there's some little kids pass by with skateboards. Like I said, I had like my 3 beers in me.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you know what? I'm getting mine.
Here we go.
Carson had his scooter. Like we made a whole thing of it. We were like ripping around. And I was trying to get my ollie back. And I was busting out some pretty high ollies.
Really?
But landing them, riding away. I didn't bother trying any flip tricks. Because if I get hurt, that's it.
Yeah, you are the business.
Yeah, exactly. But the next day, my knees were so sore. I didn't feel it, but my knees.
Well, that's the 3 beers for you.
Oh my goodness! I said, man, I got to take a break. Man.
It's still fun though to know that you can do it and you didn't hurt yourself. It was cool. Like I haven't tried in 20 some years. I would be a bit nervous to do that.
Yeah, I kept it like very chill, just a riding ollie. If I could ollie while moving, and like this other guy like look and like see and like
You think Carson's gonna get into skateboarding?
I hope so.
Do you have a paved driveway?
No, it's gravel, but we have a good sized carport.
Okay.
So like we can just kind of like rip around in there a little bit.
Yeah.
And we have so many parks near us
that
it's not too hard to just throw the bike and the skateboard in the back of the truck and take a 5-minute drive.
The younger you learn,
the
better, I think. But it's also more dangerous, and helmets and knee pads and all that sort of stuff.
I mean, this is my first go around, so like I don't know, he's 6, like he's got the bike with the training wheels. We're trying. I don't want to push
Maybe when he's like 8.
I don't want to push him too hard. He's definitely very, very interested.
That's cool.
But I just know, you take that first big tumble and then you're kind of over it. And I don't want him to get traumatized or something. So I'm not going to really push him too much, but he's totally into it.
Right.
He loves Blink. He loves Blink, Marshmallow, and
nice.
And the old Goo Goo Dolls. There's one album I've been playing for him recently. Nice. So those are his 3. And we've actually been playing Tony Hawk's Pro Skater.
Okay.
They reissued
So he's going to want to try in the next couple of years.
He thinks I'm cool.
Oh,
I mean, at least now. In another few years, he's totally not. But
I think you're pretty cool.
Thank you. Yeah.
So I actually grew up. My cousins built I think it was 8-foot ramp, like a full half pipe in the backyard, because we had, I don't know if you ever went over to the Elam Place house
I don't think I did.
But so they had like 17 acres and like it was kind of divvied up with like 3 acres for each house.
Cool.
And then it's just a bunch of woods and everything. But they just put like this 8-foot ramp in the back, and I went down one time and I've ate it.
Yeah.
And I was maybe 8 or 9. Probably shouldn't have been doing it at that age.
Yeah.
So they had another one inside their garage that was just 4 feet. Mm-hmm. We would just, rip back and forth.
Okay, 4 feet seems a little more.
On the wider boards too, the old 80s boards.
Oh yeah? Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. We had the Van Skate Park. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
At Potomac Mills. Yeah. Met Tony Hawk there and all those guys, and I dropped in on one of the half pipes there.
That's cool.
And never did it ever again.
That's cool.
I had like this welt. I mean, I fell right back.
Oh.
Yeah, that was it.
How big was that? 8 or 10 feet,
yeah,
maybe?
something like that. I mean, it was vert. Like, it was for real, like a vert ramp. I don't know what I was thinking. I considered switching to rollerblades after that. I was like, skateboarding's too hard.
Yeah, well, it's the same with rollerblades.
Yeah. Just kind of a little jab at rollerbladers.
People can find you at Pristine, Clean, VA, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. So if you want to start booking stuff now, do you have a package that you're selling specifically? Like any discounts for starting the new year or anything that people can?
Yeah. What we're thinking of doing is, I think we're going to email out, kind of to all previous customers a $25 off, kind of $25 off any service.
Yep.
Which is usually pretty good. That'll drop a house wash down to under $300. Another one, a package that we touched on earlier, the house wash roof clean package. Those just go together really, really well.
Yeah.
If you really want your house to kind of pop as people are driving by, and everything you see to look really, really nice and fresh. House wash and a roof clean, I mean, it's going to have your house looking like pristine.
Yeah.
So that's going to be $125 off for that package. Okay. Or if you just need the roof cleaned, that's going to be $100 off.
Right. Okay.
So we got this going just to kind of, again, keep things manageable in this day and age where everything's just getting so expensive. Mm-hmm. If we can just do some little packages like that just to kind of help out. Other than that, our prices are already, pretty reasonable.
Yeah, I think so.
So we're just going to keep doing what we're doing, I think.
So what does the average house time take?
Generally,
for a roof and
yeah. If it's going to be a house wash, roof clean, we're going to need at least 2 people there. Someone needs to be on the ground for safety. The ladder stays where it is. Make sure the guy up on the roof performing that cleaning is safe. If he needs to holler down someone's there. The ground guy's also going to be trying to minimize any residual kind of overspray or runoff from the gutters of that concentrated solution.
Yeah.
Getting on, any nearby shrubs, mulch beds, flowers, things like that down below. So he's really just watching the hose, making sure it doesn't get caught up on a yard sign, things like that. Have some eyes up there, eyes on the ground. Since we do have to be really careful with the people's property, that's going to take, 2 hours on a minimum if it's a really basic house.
Yeah.
Typically 3 to 4 hours or so. So both guys can kind of really make sure that everything was done properly. That'll give the roof enough time to kind of start drying from that initial treatment, where if we see it needs to be treated again while we're there, we can. Mm-hmm. So we'll definitely take our time on those.
Yeah.
Your basic house wash is going to be, between an hour and a half to 2.5 hours, depending.
Okay.
Again, not every house is the same. There's a lot of different factors and variables. Yeah. But, kind of when we do our scheduling for basic projects that one technician can do, we generally allow about, 2 to 3 hours per stop.
Okay. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Mm-hmm. Well, thank you for coming.
Yeah.
I think we talked about most things. Thank you for choosing again Morebrite, and I'm glad for this episode to come out, and glad you could join me for one of my first 10 that I've had. We'll get you back on sometime soon, maybe with Angie next time.
Okay, great. Cool. Well, thanks for having me.
Cool. Thanks, brother.
All right.